Ugh. Haley and Magan shippers, we had a good run, but it's time to pack it up. Welcome back to the Miscellaneous channel. We do miscellaneous things. I'm Zeleny. I typically cover TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things on this channel, so subscribe if that's your vibe. Today I'm talking about the Queer Ultimatum Season 2, the shocking finale. At least it was shocking for me. I was gagged. There were a lot of twists and turns I was not expecting. I was shocked at how many of these couples were so dysfunctional, but still ended up saying yes to the ultimatum. Let's get into these episodes. And disclaimer, like I always say, these are just opinions on a very edited narrative on a reality show. There's no need to send any of these participants hate directly. A lot of them were really messy. These episodes especially. We are just here, you and me, talking about the season and just having fun discussing and analyzing one of our favorite reality shows. The first couple I want to talk about is Pilar and Haley, who kind of became our hero couple of the season. Not because they're like the best and have no problems or anything. I feel like there are couples with a lot less problems than Haley and Pilar, but just like the screen time they got in these final episodes made them feel like they were kind of our main character couple, which I kind of was not expecting. I was expecting this couple not to even get engaged because Haley literally fell in love with someone else and Pilar was kind of like excited to explore, or just felt like they had been in this relationship for 10 years and it was just like interesting to try a trial marriage. It just didn't end up going the way she would have liked. But if it had, maybe she would have fallen in love with someone too. But no, Haley and Pilar ended up together. The way Pilar handled this whole situation after Haley fell in love with someone else was honestly admirable. Definitely could not be me. She was focused in on what she could do better, how she grew through the experiment, how she could be better for Haley, how she could provide something that like Magan provided for her that Pilar hadn't realized Haley needed. She was putting in an effort to not take it personal, which like, imagine like your partner's in love with someone else. I feel like most people would crash out and not handle it the way Pilar did, so I really admired her. And the issue Pilar realizes with Haley is that she just hasn't prioritized Haley as much. Haley appreciated how Magan was always like checking in emotionally and stuff, and that's something Pilar wasn't doing. And I think it makes sense for like a 10-year relationship, the familiarity, you take a person for granted at times, so like that just kind of checks out for the age of their relationship. Whereas Magan, it was like a new person. It makes sense, you're checking in more. But it was still really nice how Pilar was listening to Haley about what Magan provided, not taking it personal, and thinking about how she can apply those lessons and like not take Haley for granted, give her that extra attention. She's really self-reflecting. She's talking about her need for control and how her upbringing contributed to that. There's honestly a lot of growth for Pilar, especially for her having like not that fruitful of a trial marriage. I think it was more she learned from almost losing Haley. That was the real lesson for Pilar, not whatever she had with Kyle. She saw how Haley could fall in love with someone else, and that possibility made her like kick into action and ask Haley like, what can I do to be a better partner and be a partner you want to be with. Now, Haley, on the other hand, this was so tragic because I think a lot of us were so invested in this new couple of Haley and Magan. They just seemed so perfect together. And all of a sudden, these episodes, Magan does a 180. So I want to focus on Haley and how she was dealing with the Magan betrayal. She was very confused about the switch up, just like we all were. Apparently she ran into Magan at the club and Magan completely ignored her. Sound familiar? We had a few of those people doing that in the first trial marriage round. Haley is very hurt because Magan tells her, they have a couple of conversations that we see, and Magan says she was never in love with her. Bitch, it's on camera. Like, who are you trying to fool? And then Magan was demanding an apology from Haley, like demanding that Haley apologize to Dayna for like not respecting their trial marriage, which I don't understand. Like, just because you're married, fake pretend married for an experiment, doesn't mean you can't talk to somebody. Like, you can still just say wave or say hi. Like, it's not cheating to make eye contact with someone and give a slight nod of acknowledgement. Like, to me, it's very interesting that Dayna also ignored Magan, and now Magan's ignoring Haley. It feels like this is a tactic that Dayna uses on partners to manipulate them, of like just ignoring them to make them feel less than or like they don't exist. So anyway, I'll talk more about them in a bit, but Haley is also a queenie who knows her worth and is like, I'm not apologizing to Dayna. Literally for what? In their final confrontation, she tells Magan, like, I don't want you in my life then if you're gonna demand this apology. And Haley clocks it that what Magan is telling her sounds like what Dayna wants her to hear. So Haley speculates that Dayna is speaking a little bit through Magan and influencing her a lot on this decision to like cut off contact. But back to Pilar and Haley, leading up to their ultimatum, them as a couple is like pretty strong actually, and they've gotten a lot closer. I mean, with Pilar committing to all this growth and treating Haley better, like Haley acknowledges the past 3 weeks were different than their 10-year relationship, and so she feels like Pilar is putting in the work to have changed for the better. We see them hang out with Haley's dad, who is the sweetest man I've ever seen on these shows. Such a supportive dad. Clearly sees Pilar as part of the family too. And so Pilar proposes and Haley says yes. I do really wonder what would have happened if Magan had not gone off the deep end and still had feelings for Haley. What would have happened if Magan broke up with Dayna and wanted to be with Haley? Would Haley still have chosen Pilar? Would she have risked it all for Magan? It's hard to tell, because even in the last batch I was thinking like Haley coming back to Pilar, like that's 10 years of a relationship. It's still very possible she'll stick with her. Like, I was more sure that Magan would break up with Dayna and then Haley would say yes to Pilar, and then Magan would be heartbroken. But like none of that happened. And Pilar and Haley did, I guess some of that happened. Pilar and Haley did end up together. But I thought it would be like Haley would be torn between the two, and we didn't even get to see that. I think ultimately, even if she was torn, like she'd be torn, but she would go for her long-term relationship. This experience with Magan probably showed Haley how it might be if she got into the dating world. Like, this experience gave Haley a sense of what it would be like to start over with somebody, and it might seem really good at first in that honeymoon period, and then it could get toxic real quick, and maybe that made Haley realize, like, hey, I have a good thing going with Pilar, let's just stay here. Like, this is good for me. I feel like that had to be some of Haley's takeaway. Then at the reunion, we see they're still together. Yay, they're still engaged. Pilar has some fierce hair extensions, and they're actually planning an elopement due to politics, and I totally get it. It's some scary times right now, and they don't want to risk it to wait around to be able to like plan this big party before they can make it official. We also got a bit of an update on Pilar's parents, and that they're coming around a little bit, like more than Pilar expected. Definitely doesn't sound like all the way, but they are. Like, Pilar did share the engagement, and she has taken Haley to some family functions and introduced her as her fiance. And this was kind of interesting, I don't know if advice or like interesting thing she learned, but like when she would call her fiance and like be very clear and direct with people about that, the people had no choice but to like just acknowledge that and like take it seriously. And that was kind of a theme with another couple, Magan, who's the other one with like difficult parents or not accepting parents. It seems like putting your foot down and like calling things what they are, so like your fiance, like this is someone I'm very serious about, makes people that aren't so accepting maybe take them more seriously, and that takes a lot of bravery. But it might be a good piece of advice for people in similar situations. Seems like this engagement has opened the door a little bit for Pilar and her family. But she also did talk about like detaching herself, like, and her self-worth from the need for their acceptance. So like she doesn't need that anymore, and that was kind of a big breakthrough that was holding her up at the very beginning of the season. I'm so happy for Pilar and Haley. Wish them the best. Like, I feel like they got what they needed out of the experiment. They both changed and grew. So next couple is Mel and Marie. We're getting messy. We're getting so messy. This was a tough one. Like, especially at the reunion. Okay, yeah, because there are only a couple who switched from the finale to the reunion. They got engaged in the finale and then they were separated, which was sadly not surprising. I was surprised they got engaged because I didn't think they should. Mel's attitude leading up to Ultimatum Day was just not optimistic. It felt like she was doing the classic, like, treat your partner terribly, hoping they break up with you because you don't have the balls to do it yourself. She's giving Marie very obvious hints that she doesn't want this. She asks Marie what makes her feel safe, and Marie is like, love, stability, safety, checking in. And Mel is like, see, those are all the things that make me feel unsafe. And it's like, oh no, girl, like, oh, this is bad. And then Mel is like, maybe I don't want safe and secure. And then Marie is like, I'm safe and secure. It's just painfully obvious that like Mel wants an out, but just doesn't want to say it and be direct. It's like, girl, just if you want out so bad, just get out. But I guess it's that comfort and familiarity, and she's just like scared to lose that. It kind of felt like Mel was also hoping for this possibility with Dayna. They kind of have a similar thing as Magan and Haley, where Dayna is ignoring Mel or trying to like distance herself from Mel. And in their final conversation, Mel is trying to get this answer of like, are we gonna pursue any kind of relationship? And Mel wants like a really clear answer, and Dayna is just not giving it. Like, Dayna keeps saying like, I'm gonna love you forever. What the fuck does that actually mean though, like in practice? Because Mel wanted to see her before she proposed to Marie. It felt like to see if like there was any chance there. But the way Dayna is really like vague in her answer and not really giving her any guarantee that like she'll be in her life at all, Mel is taking that as a rejection. It feels like when Mel didn't get the go ahead with Dayna, she was like, well, at least I still got Marie, I guess. That's a chill backup option. Like, even Dayna told her, why are you proposing to Marie? Are you doing it for her or for you? And Mel says, no, I'm doing it for her. And Dana's like, you shouldn't be proposing to someone for them. You should do it because you want to. And it's an unfortunate case of like, the worst person you know just made a great point. Because yeah, why, if Mel has one foot out the door, is she proposing marriage to Marie? So yeah, she proposes with a ring pop, and I was like, oh no, not the ring pop. But then there was a real ring, and I was like, okay, I forgive her, sort of, but not really. Because she was so flip-floppy about if she wanted to do this, if she wanted to propose. Even to Marie's face, she was like, I'm unsure one day, and then I'm sure the next. And I don't know, I'm still making up my mind, like, way up until the moment. It was just like, why would Marie say yes to that on top of it? Spoiler alert, she did come around eventually, but it took a long time and a lot of red flags. And it's all on Mel that she didn't just break up with her. But still, like, Marie, the warnings were there too. Like, we were rooting for you to just leave this shit. Like, it was just sad to see how flirty and giddy Mel would be with Dayna, and then she would just be like checked out around Marie. So then at the reunion, Marie watched it back. During this, we're seeing her anger really come out after watching these episodes. I get it. I mean, it's sad to see this. Like, she was lashing out at everybody. She just wanted to not be made a fool of. And what did Mel do? She made a fool out of her. That's just, they're separated at the reunion, no longer engaged. They're the only engagement that isn't still active, I guess. And Marie kind of had like a fight moment with AJ and Britney. that was kind of misguided. I mean, she does have some basis there because she is still mad about how AJ and Britney were meeting up during Marie and AJ's trial marriage. But it feels like this anger stems from like her not having any support from anybody. Like it feels like Britney had AJ and Britney had Marita as a good friend during her trial marriage. And then AJ had Britney as a support. Marie did not have Mel support. Mel was completely ignoring her during trial marriages. So Marie was just very alone, and she is someone who gives out a lot of love and support. And so I feel like she's just reached a breaking point and just is so angry. There's a lot of hurt there. There seems to be some jealousy about just that other people having support and her not. It's really sad because she was being like kind of out of pocket at the reunion and interjecting and stuff, but it just felt like this girl is hurt. She's really, really hurt. She's seeing all this like love and yay, and we're all engaged around her. That can't be easy. Like, she tried to interject in Ashley and Marita's mess and trying to scold Marita about how she talked to AJ and how she was yelling at her, and it was just like, Marie, this is not your place. Like, why are you pseudo hosting this reunion? But I think she just wanted to yell at somebody. Honestly, I wish I had seen her fight with Mel more if she was gonna fight with somebody, just because like I wanted more details. She did have some arguing with Mel, but like I wanted more tea on what went down with them, because we don't really get that many clear answers about what happened between Mel and Marie, like why they broke up. Both Mel and Marie were pretty closed off. They were shut down. I mean, Mel was more shut down, and Marie was just like angry. She was like trying to still get like the timeline on when Dayna and Mel hooked up. She was so angry about this Brussels sprout situation. That was one of the most triggering parts to Marie, it looks like, that Mel made the Brussels sprouts recipe that Marie had taught her to Dayna, and that Dayna liked the Brussels sprouts. Out of context, it's very goofy, and it's like something that's like kind of funny that you would be mad about. It's like a dark-sided version of the oxtail hurt when AJ was hurt when Britney made the oxtail for Marita. It was like a serious offended rather than a funny offended version of that. She was pissed about these Brussels sprouts. So yeah, in all Marie's anger, we don't get much about why they broke up. Marie says 2 months after they got engaged, she broke up with Mel. Apparently she started doing more individual things and wanted to work at the food truck less and less. My theory is maybe she found a new job or found a new career path she might be interested in and didn't have that attachment to the food truck, because I do think this food truck was so key to why Marie felt so stuck where she was. So I imagine maybe she explored more and like at least got some ideas of where she could go that wasn't this food truck in particular. We do seem to at least get an answer on whether Mel and Dayna had sex, which was kind of a big question of the season. Essentially, yes, they did, which is no surprise. We all gathered that in the first batch. They show this montage at the reunion of like how everyone defines sex differently, and Mel does admit that she used a loophole. When Marie asked her if they had had sex and Mel said no, it was through like more of a technicality in her eyes, in her definition of sex. And when they're asking Mel to give like a clear answer on this, Dayna has the audacity to interject and say, it's nobody's business, actually. Bitch, you were at a reunion of a reality TV show. This is the one time in life where it is everyone's business because it is something that happened on the show. This is the price you pay for gaining some Instagram followers from being on a TV show. I don't make the rules. Dayna is always out here trying to control the narrative. Plenty of the couples did not explore any physical intimacy, but you decided to, and there were cameras around. So now we're on the reunion and now it's our business. They also show a clip of how Mel talks about how you need to have a sex playlist during one of the dates, so that gives more credibility to the whole Spotify gate. The Spotify thing, the whole cast has very different opinions. Some people think it is evidence, some people think it's not. Marie says it doesn't matter because we have confirmation enough that they were hooking up. Like, the Spotify playlists don't matter now because we have much better receipts that they did something. It did feel nice for Haley to be vindicated because, you know, everyone got mad at her for the Spotify thing and calling it receipts, and she did like apologize or regret that like she called it receipts because it was more speculative evidence. I don't know what you call it, Your Honor, but like assumptions, I don't know, from the Spotify playlist. But Haley never said sex. She just said, hey Marie, Mel and Dayna might be doing more than she's letting on. And that's pretty vague, and she was just looking out for Marie, and Marie acknowledges that. So I was glad Haley got vindicated for just like trying to give Marie a heads up. She didn't have malicious intentions towards Mel or Marie. Okay, the next couple. I mean, I've already talked about them a bit, but it's Magan and Dayna. Oh God. I don't even want to talk about them. They make me depressed. They make me so depressed. I was so shocked. This was the gag of the season. The episode title could not have been more accurate. It was The Backtrack of the Century with Magan. But Dayna, man, I mean, in the episodes, I feel like we find out both of them are toxic, which was kind of a gag because I think a lot of us were hoping Magan was not toxic and that this experience would help her like get away from a toxic partner. I think Dayna comes out as like the biggest villain of the season. And when she talks, I swear I zone out because she's just like word salads all over the place, like therapy speak words, and I like don't know what she's saying. I'm like, what? So when she comes back together with Magan, she's pretty condescending because of the whole Magan falling in love with Haley thing and getting physical with Haley, and Dayna feels like super betrayed even though she did pretty much the exact same things. But Dayna mostly acts like Magan did the most transgressions. Like she says, this was a test and you failed. It's very condescending. Magan tries to tell her, you know, you did similar things with Mel, and Dayna's just like, it's just different. It's like, oh my God, this sums up Dayna in one little interaction. The phrase that always comes to mind, and I've seen people also put it on her, is rules for thee and not for me. She is obsessed with control, and I think she really is with Magan and likes Magan because she has found the way to like control her and manipulate her to do what she wants. Like, it's so unfair. Magan has to cut off contact with Haley and demand apologies on behalf of Dayna, but then Dayna can go talk to Mel and they still have like a very casual, funny rapport. It's just different how like Magan approaches conversations with Haley. It's like Magan is super serious and like super scared to like show any emotion. But when Dayna and Mel talk, like, it's still like casual and friendly, even though Dayna is not that interested in Mel or in like pursuing anything further, or having like a relationship even. And I couldn't believe when Dayna said, I'm handling this so well. Like, you're so lucky, Magan, that I'm handling your transgressions amazingly. Like, I'm so proud of me. You're only handling it well because Magan is doing what you say and like cutting off contact with Haley. If Magan was still trying to figure out the connection, still torn between two, I don't think Dayna would be handling it well at all. Dayna's just really good at stating opinions as if they're definitive facts and with authority, and people believe that. It's moments like these where she influences the narrative with whatever she wants. Like, she's pushing this narrative that Haley and Pilar just came on the show to leave each other. And it's just like, girl, what do you know about them at all? Like, that kind of opinion influences Magan and possibly makes her lose trust in Haley when Dayna's just being a mean girl and she is just threatened by Haley and trying to find a way to make her look bad to Magan. However, there's a big however here, and it is that Magan does have agency, obviously, as an adult. also in this partnership. I know we all are blinded by her hotness, but just close your eyes. She made the choice to treat Haley the way she did, ultimately. Like, I do think Dayna has some influence over her views and the way she proceeds, but in the end, it's her choice, and she totally treated Haley terribly, treated her the way Dayna was treating her earlier. Like, Dayna ignored her at the pool, and now Magan ignored Haley at the club. It's like repeating the same tactics of making someone feel like shit and make them want you more. I don't know what the goal is there, just to like hurt your partner. Maybe with Magan there's like a familiarity with being around someone controlling, since it sounds like her family has had a lot of influence and control over her life for a long time. Maybe Magan feels familiar and comfortable with someone that is kind of controlling. That's my best guess, but it is Magan's choice in the end, and I think because a lot of us are rooting for her, she has this tough family situation. She was really hesitant about the experience at the beginning. She had this love story with Haley. Like, all these things made us root for her, but then she decided it was too scary, too comfortable to be with Dayna. I don't know, but she chose Dayna and this more toxic dynamic rather than the healthy one, and that was her choice. And that's toxic of her too. So I feel like a lot of people are trying to paint Dayna as this like master puppeteer pulling all of Magan's strings, but I don't think that's the case. I think Dayna is just really good at sneakily manipulating and just planting seeds that influence Magan, but ultimately it's Magan's choice, and she could have chosen to be nice to Haley and respect, you know, the time they had and the love they shared, and she didn't. That's toxic as well. And that's why I said in the first batch, I was like, I can't tell if Magan is toxic or not, because this is the first conflict we see of her and Dayna. So it's like when they were fighting on the phone and when they were fighting in the car when their trial marriage started. I couldn't tell if this was just like Magan's first big moment of I've had it and like standing up for herself, or if they just have a toxic dynamic. And after these episodes, I think they just have a toxic dynamic and they hurt each other, they make each other jealous. So yeah, the final talk with Magan and Haley was sad. I already talked about it. Magan said she was never in love. I gasped again. I had gasped the first time they said I love you, and now I was just like, no. Luckily, Haley is mature and smart and knows her worth and is like, you know, your words don't really align with your actions, and I think we're done. I don't want to be in your life. And that's fierce, and I don't think Magan deserves Haley's friendship or anything support moving forward. And as far as Mel and Dayna, we already talked about it. It felt like Mel had more feelings there than Dayna. It feels like Dayna just used Mel for funsies and to be chaotic together and probably to make Magan jealous. Like, Dayna made this whole thing about finding Mel's letter to her and saying that was the nicest letter anyone's written for me ever, and she's telling all this to Mel, but nothing she says is about any actions of like, what's the nature of this relationship moving forward? Can we be friends? Like, there's nothing actionable. It's all like woo-woo, I'm gonna love you forever, hold you in my heart forever. Like, that's not any answers. And Mel's takeaway from their final conversation is that like their connection meant a lot more to her, to Mel, than it did to Dayna. And Dayna's like, no, that's not true. And it's like, yeah, it is, girl. It seems like it. At least they'll always have their tattoos. So I forgot to mention, yeah, Magan and Dayna do get engaged, which I was like, no, why? The most toxic couple. And at the reunion, they are still together. Unfortunately, I guess. I mean, based on what I've seen, I don't know them in real life, but like, it was rough. They are really hard to root for as a couple. We do get an update about Magan and her family, and she also has made progress with them. They're coming around a little bit, and like I said before, Magan treating the relationship as very serious, like I'm engaged, has helped other people in her family take it more seriously. And her mom even came around for Thanksgiving, which was a big deal. So good for her. I wish her all the best with her family stuff. Them as a couple, don't think is the best for them. But what can I do? Nothing. We can't do anything about it. Megan did have a couple moments that almost redeemed her for me. She did regret getting physical with Haley because she feels Haley's friendship would have been really nice to have after all this, but the physical was just going too far. And she also, I think, apologized for saying she never loved Haley, because she admits, like, she did say I love you to her, which we saw on camera, so, like, of course she had to admit that. It did kind of feel like Dayna and Megan were on their best behavior at this reunion, because they had all just seen the episodes and they were not looking the best. So I think they were pretty calm and collected. They weren't coming after anybody, and it was by design, because, I don't know, they had some work to do to rehab their images. That was just my takeaway. Okay, the next couple I want to talk about is Marita and Ashley. Oh my god. I mean, leading up to the ultimatum, it was the same story with this couple nonstop. It didn't seem like they liked each other. Even their own friends were like, y'all should probably just break up. Y'all are not on the same page. What are you doing? Which, that's what we're all saying. Every conversation they had was one of them crying, them fighting. They show slightest bit of affection, but barely. And I was really glad come ultimatum day, they said no to the engagement. It was actually Ashley who had given the ultimatum. She reversed the ultimatum. Marita says she would have said yes, so I'm glad Ashley reversed that ultimatum. And I was so mad. They said the black cat they saw that day was bad luck, a bad sign. And I'm just like, maybe the cat was good luck because you two should not be together. So long term, isn't it good luck for you to break up? Like, it's a good thing. And at their reunion, we got a lot more clarity on this couple, kind of. It was like a lot of answers and a lot of new questions for this couple, because they were literally the most explosive couple at the reunion, which is wild because they had the least screen time the whole season. First of all, Marita says that Ashley said the breakup was just for the show. So they like stayed together after, which happens a lot on the ultimatum in general. Like, couples will say no to the engagement, but then say it was just for show and get back together right after. But usually it doesn't work out from what I remember. So they were one of these couples. Ashley's excuse is that she wasn't comfortable being authentic in front of cameras, which makes sense. Like, the girl was not a camera personality. Like, she was giving nothing, like I said before. So they did end up breaking up again, and Marita was really offended because Ashley asked her dad for his blessing, but then didn't propose, and Marita was pissed about that. And then the real tea comes out that apparently Ashley cheated on Marita while she was away visiting her grandfather who was dying. Okay, Tom Sandoval. Marie, for some reason, interjects here and is like, well, were you together at that point or not when she cheated? And the answer was unclear, because I feel like Marita said yes, Ashley said no, or the other way around. It was unclear. But I had seen a Reddit comment that had said Ashley was a cheater and it was all going to come out at the reunion. And it was just a random Reddit comment. So I was like, well, I'll see at the reunion if this was real. And it turns out it was. But then Ashley says Marita has cheated like 5 times. So Marita's a cheater too. What? And Marita goes full scorched earth and tells her she fucking hates her. Ashley says her grandma is dying right now, and Marita's like, I don't care. It's really out of pocket. Ashley walks off at the reunion. This was obviously very rough, but that's the thing with this couple. Like, they never had much love for each other at all. So I don't know. It is surprising because they seemed very, like, boring and even-tempered as people. Damn. They're more toxic than all the other ones, somehow. Marita does apologize once Ashley comes back, but there's really no coming back from that. Marita also accuses, like, Kyle and Bridget of, like, convincing Ashley to reverse the ultimatum. Everyone was catching strays at this point. This couple was so toxic. They need to never speak again. Moving on to less toxic couples. Let me talk about AJ and Britney. I'm believing more and more in the theory that they came on the show to promote Britney's business, because this couple is pretty solid. AJ's whole problem was feeling insecure and feeling like less of a priority to Britney's business, feeling like Britney has accomplished so many things and she hasn't yet and wants to before getting married. I loved it when Britney was just like, stop talking about it and be about it then. That was tea. Like, just quit talking about how you haven't accomplished anything and accomplish something then if you're so worried about it. It didn't feel like in a mean way. It sounds mean when I'm repeating it, but like, I don't know. It's just like, just do it then. Like, just try something. I understood where she was coming from with that comment and I liked it. But leading up to the ultimatum, they're in a great place. They end up getting engaged. There's a lot of love there. All their scenes have a lot of love, it feels like. There's this question about, does AJ exhibit traits of toxic masculinity? I had seen this take from a few people in the first batch of episodes, and some of you commented on my video, and I think it mostly comes from this scene where AJ is telling Britney about how nice it was that Marie was always at home cooking and cleaning while AJ worked. I see where people are coming from with that speculation. For me, that comment wasn't enough to say like, AJ definitely wants a trad wife to cater to her or hates that Britney is like a working woman. There very well could be some internalized stuff going on, or the speculation might be true. But this couple to me just felt so happy in all of their scenes that I'm kind of sitting on the side of trusting Britney that she probably wouldn't be with someone like that, or someone that was super toxic in that way. So I'm trying to trust Britney's judgment. And this couple just didn't have a ton of screen time, and the screen time they did have was mostly them being pretty happy with each other and in love. So in general, I support them getting together. I feel like if AJ were to be toxic to Britney, Britney would do something about it or leave her or not get married, not want to get married. That's how I feel about that situation. I know people might speculate differently, that's fine. I just don't think we have a lot of information on this couple. And at the reunion, AJ and Britney are still together, still seem very happy. They seem to be the most like friendly with everyone. They kind of want everyone at their wedding, but that's going to be very tricky with everyone having beef with each other. Britney says she has worked on her work-life balance to be there more for AJ. And again, she seems happy about it, so I don't know if there's toxicity there. And they do have this little fight with Marie, but it's all Marie just struggling with her own stuff and taking it out on AJ and Britney, especially seeing how happy AJ and Britney are. I feel like Marie was struggling with that. Sorry. The only thing is like, yeah, like AJ and Britney should not have been meeting up during trial marriages, but it's kind of like, what can we do now? And they're engaged and it's like, it all worked out for them. So Marie got the short end of the stick, but happy for AJ and Britney. They seem happy together. And finally, the last couple I want to talk about is Bridget and Kyle. They were demoted to the last couple because they became the most boring. But hey, maybe that's a good thing to be the most boring on a reality show, because it means you probably don't have a lot of toxic drama surrounding your relationship. Leading up to the ultimatum, we see Kyle's parents again. They are super nice, supportive parents. It was good to see them. And they're also very honest, because they ask like, do you think Kyle's ready for marriage? And their dad is like, no. But it feels like both parents think their finances are not very in order because they're both artists, which it's tea. Being an artist, oof, it's rough to survive in this economy, and the parents are viewing marriage as like getting a house and having all these financial stability things that they don't have, but they're just kind of like, we're going to define marriage how we want, which makes sense. They're already like a very alternative couple. On ultimatum day, Bridget seemed pretty stressed, so I was like, oh my god, is she gonna say no? But then she says yes, and they get engaged. And then at the reunion, we see them again, and they are still engaged. I think every engaged couple like didn't have a date for the wedding, and they were just happy to be engaged, which is very valid. Kyle and Bridget are now living together, which they weren't before. And the best part of the reunion is that Kyle's mom FaceTimed into the reunion to give some words of wisdom, and she quoted Wicked for good. She said something like, Bridget changed Kyle for good, something along those lines. See, this is why queer media matters. You think in straight media we're gonna get Wicked quotes? I don't think so. Yay, Kyle and Bridget. I think they're good together. They didn't seem toxic. They weren't like great TV personalities. I mean, I think Bridget was funny and she was good kind of mediating sometimes at the reunion. Honestly, she might have made a good host for the reunion. But as far as like big TV personalities, especially Kyle, this couple was not the most compelling. I do think a queer host would be so much more important at this reunion. They had this moment where AJ praised Joanna, the host, and said, thank you so much, and she's like bridging the gap for straight people to accept queer people and stuff, and like I get that logic, and I get that that's the reason they chose a straight host for this, aside from just bias. Especially at the reunion, it would be so helpful to have a queer host that has been in a queer relationship and just can interject or ask more pointed questions, because it does feel like Joanna's often tiptoeing around them, trying not to offend them. Like, I felt like she was scared of Dayna at times. Like, she was scared of them. I don't know. It's just, I just get this vibe. And I think it's because she is like a straight woman, an ally, but she's not steeped in the culture. I mean, she hasn't lived it. You don't know what's like okay to ask, I feel like, as a straight person. And I feel like a queer host wouldn't have all those boundaries and wouldn't be scared to like tiptoe. They would ask the real questions, like especially when it came to like the segments around physical intimacy and stuff. Like, I don't know, and just love and relationships, parents' acceptance, like all these things that she's just not going to relate to, and therefore not going to ask the best questions. The host is not really that noticeable in like the dining and the intro and explaining the rules and all that. Like, that doesn't make that big a difference who it is, but it's at the reunion where it would just be really helpful. Like, you could see how Marie and Bridget, they were like interjecting and they were helping to facilitate conversations, and it was like that should have been the host doing that. I'm still very much team queer host. I don't think that should be a controversial take. I don't think it is. But at the same time, like, I get this lady is very nice and it's an ally and bridging the gap. Like, if they're really worried about bridging the gap, it's like, why not have a duo, straight and queer host, two people with good chemistry or something? It's just an interesting thing to think about, and the decisions that go into who the host is. That's just my take, and I know a lot of y'all want a queer host too, so like, I feel seen by y'all. Ultimately, we just need more queer media, more queer dating shows. It's like a gold mine because there are so little of them. The interest is there. Right now, it's a tough time for those kinds of projects. And it's probably tough to greenlight these types of shows, but like, the audience is there, and audience is money. Like, it's just logical. There's so many formats and just potential with different, like, all the types of dating shows. Like a Love Island type, but just with queer people. Like something more gamified, like the Are You the One season that is like the only queer dating representation. Some variation on Love is Blind. Ultimatum is just long-term couples too. There's very few shows I know of, at least no big ones in the US, of queer people that are single and like dating the way Love Island, The Bachelor, this type of thing. The more of those shows we have, the more fun hosts and fun guest appearances. I just feel like there's so many like funny internet gay people. Maybe that's just all I follow. That's like my whole algorithm, but like there's so many funny people that could host these shows, make appearances, have funny like after show type stuff. Right now I'm steeped in like the Love Island USA hoopla, and it's just like, man, something queer like this would just be so fun, and having panelists and like so much untapped potential. Like, I know shit's homophobic right now, but like there's audiences for everything. I guess no one wants to take the risk. Cowards. that was The Ultimatum, Queer Love Season 2. I enjoyed the season. I don't think it topped Season 1. Season 1 was pretty riveting, but this one had a lot to it too. I think there were just a few boring couples, some duds, but the messiness got messy. And the outcomes were pretty surprising to me. And it was like a surprising amount of happy endings. So I definitely thought it was worth watching, worth my time. I had so much fun. And I appreciate all of you watching. I wish they made more of these shows so I could talk about them. That's like my dream. Come on. When I'm not covering the Queer Ultimatum, I am often covering Love is Blind. I've covered the regular Ultimatum, though I've lost a lot of goodwill towards that one, the straight one. It's just like clout chasey to the max. And I also talk about other random shows, pop culture stuff, some pop music stuff. Stick around if you enjoyed. I'm so close to passing 4,000 subscribers. That's a big milestone for me. I've been in the 3,000 club for a little while now. I really appreciate you being here and watching and discussing along with me. Let me know your final thoughts on the season, and please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. I put out new videos whenever I feel like it about TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things. And you can follow me at Miscellaneous to keep up with me, or just turn on the bell notification here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!